Hello, YouTube. Welcome in. Freeform here, and we're hanging out with Legendary Drops again today, and we're talking, it looks like, about the new Wolverine video game that's coming out. I've been seeing been a bit of weird controversy about this one. I have no idea what to expect or what's going on, specifically. Uh, but I remember when I watched it during the Sony Direct thing, or whatever the hell it's called, it was one of the few games that actually was, like, kind of sticking out to me. It looked like it would be pretty fun and ridiculous and good. So why is it over? They have no idea what they've done. Well, let's sit back, relax, and let's see what's going on.
These guys have no idea what they've done. It's like consequences simply just don't exist to them for whatever reason. While I've been dealing with the fact that half of my house has been underwater, thank you, AAA games industry, for sending.
What? Well, that's what you get for playing, like, Subnautica, I guess.
The storms my way. I can't believe you would do this to me. Unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
I have been watching you absolute heathens not give Sony a minute to breathe. You have been terrorizing them. And now with their upcoming game, Wolverine, and its trailers releasing.
Wolverine. Was that a mispronunciation? Isn't it Wolverine? I don't know. Wolverine is just a funny way of saying it to me. I don't know what. So what exactly is this game doing? What did it do wrong?
And more things coming out. Well, they just don't understand the backlash. They're completely confused, caught off guard. I'm seeing games journalists, I'm seeing game developers, I'm seeing Insomniac themselves scratching their heads. They're all in a panic. What's going on? Why are people acting like this? How could they act like this? How could you hate a game like this? You got people that are jumping to defend it saying, hey, you're not allowed to have an opinion about something that you haven't played yet. You need to buy this $70 game before you form an opinion on it. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. It's not even real. This is just the algorithms that are making people negative. That's the whole reason all of this is happening. Great idea, by the way. Just go.
Well, yeah, that seems to be what they tend to do. Oh, once again, I'm just going off of basing what I saw for the Wolverine game based off of that first initial trailer. Like, it looked good. It looked interesting. High octane, ridiculous combat, Wolverine just bouncing off the walls and going completely berserk. I honestly don't know why we would be upset with it right now. The only thing I kind of think of is maybe it's no longer doing what we were thinking it's going to do, and it's kind of like dumbing down the ridiculousness of what it could be and making it a little bit more geared for, I don't know. I legitimately have no idea. I have no idea what it could be doing. But regardless, a bunch of video game the game journalists, they have a very, very high opinion of their own opinion. Fair. We all have a very high opinion of our own opinion. But in this situation, whenever they're called into question, like their thoughts are called into question, instead of like reevaluating why the masses might be thinking that, they instantly double down and say that the masses are stupid. Yes, a lot of people are very stupid. They kind of like group together into swarms and start doing things. But if the masses are the people that are the majority, consumers of that product, and they're upset, then chances are good that's probably the main reason.
Go ahead and discount everybody's anger and try to pretend like it's not even real and pretend that they're all too stupid to realize that they're being manipulated by internet algorithms and none of their opinions actually matter.
Right.
It's almost like months, if not now years, of the games industry just riding the audience as hard as they possibly can just doesn't exist to these guys. Like, it all happens in...
Oh, right. And also, he did mention a very key point. You're not allowed to have an opinion of something until you've actually bought this thing. Okay, well, how much is this thing? It's $70 US. So you're saying it's like $80 to $90 Canadian, or even at $70 US, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. What do you mean? Why do the games have to be this expensive? Why? What?
Inside of a bubble, inside of a vacuum, like moment to moment, and then we just move on from it. Like it's a crop dusting. That's not what it is. You have physical media that's been going away. You have games that have been getting shut down. You have prices that are going up, whether it's the hardware or whether it's the games themselves. You have people that are locking trailers behind paywalls now for whatever reason.
Huh? What? What do you mean people are locking trailers behind paywalls? What do you even mean? Huh?
Dude, I cannot take any time off. I'm going to tell you that. You have slop games that are coming out, games that aren't even coming out finished. Sony made people ready to hate them. This industry made people ready to hate them. And I don't understand how people don't see that. So today, we're going to talk about how you're not allowed to have an opinion on something that you haven't bought yet. How, actually, all of this apparently isn't even real. And
so, to that extent, like, no. If you're forming an opinion on something based solely off of what other people are saying, or you're forming an opinion solely based off of, like, an outside, like a window shop view, like, it's not a fully formed opinion. However, in recent years, a lot of product has been coming out lately that have been doing, I'm assuming, similar things. They're pushing like pushing idealism. They're pushing like there is a very large hard-on for making any male protagonists as weak or as frail as possible, and making any female protagonists as strong and unlikable as they possibly can make them. Like, they're trying to, I don't want to say switching up the archetypes, because that's almost like not helpful. Like, I'll put it this way. For some reason, we are conditioned as a human race, or you guys are conditioned as a human race. I'm a slime. Kidding. To think that a strong, independent male character can be endearing and good, because a lot of the time those characters have soft moments that make you really, like, feel for them. So they take that archetype and they throw them onto the female characters. Well, can be a little bit of a problem, because we as a society and a species learn to look at a female character as more nurturing or approachable, or just nicer to be around. Like, you want to be around that person. However, when you make a character who is presenting female very negative and hostile and off-putting, it tends to break our brains a little bit. And it's not like they're doing that and then giving them, like, soft moments every now and then where they show, like, a little bit of emotion. No, they take those characters and they just have to crank it to 11 at all times. And then they take male characters and then they just make them so, like, submissive and mousy and just the butt of every joke the entire time, but never have a chance to stand up for themselves. So they're basically just taking the worst qualities and applying it 100 times over on the opposite ends of the spectrum. That's the only thing I can think of that he's talking about. But when a lot of video games are doing that sort of thing, and people start seeing patterns, and if the patterns are all starting to line up, then, I mean, it's pretty easy to start making a judgment call on a game. That's kind of, that entire build-up was basically me saying, people are seeing patterns in video games. And if Wolverine is starting to show that pattern, then people are going to make judgment calls before they even play the game.
How these people just do not realize that these games are not being judged in a vacuum. Every single thing they do is just stacking up against them. And at this point, the games industry is going to have to sleep in the bed that they made. But before that, a word from today.
He changed up.
A sponsor, Raycon. See, they just sent me their essential open earbuds, and these things, man, these things are fantastic. I've been using Raycon's essential open earbuds, and these things are honestly perfect for the times where I want to be able to listen to something without completely shutting out the world around me. They sit just outside of your ear canal, so the sound is still clear, but I can still hear traffic as I'm walking, somebody trying to get my attention, or whatever chaos is going on around the house.
I feel like I should get myself a set of Raycons, but at the same time, the only time I wear headsets or headphones or earphones or anything like that is when I'm, recording or streaming or something. So I mean, like, it's whatever.
Ridiculously light. I mean, you can barely even feel these things when they're actually on your ear, and because of the rotating hooks, they stay in place without getting uncomfortable. You get 8 hours of playtime, up to 36 hours with the charging case, and with multi-point connection, you can swap between your phone and your computer without constantly having to reconnect them. The Essential Open Earbuds are the perfect back-to-school companion, so click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/legendary drops open to get 20% off the Essential Open Earbuds. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video.
Neat.
Less than a year ago, when Wolverine got its first gameplay trailer, a lot of people, myself included, were pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to say. Also, I really lengthen the videos sometimes. We're 11 minutes in and we're only 3 minutes into the video. I'm sorry about that. I'm a yappy little shit. But yeah, no, when this game showed, I mean, I was a little skeptic because, I mean, like, I'm always guarded about these things, but it looked really good. It looked crazy, high octane, and just like the right amount of ridiculous and actiony that we would hope from a Wolverine game.
I wasn't a huge fan of the art direction or some of the character direction, and given my aversion to modern millennial writing, I am definitely already skeptical about the story, seeing as though Insomniac is not adapting an existing comic run, but instead writing their own story from scratch. But I'm a huge X-Men fan, and
that's pretty normal. Like, I also kind of wish that they would start making these games or making these movies and all that following an actual comic line, because I think that would actually bring a lot more interest to them. But at the same time, it's kind of like the D&D thing, right? Like, you're a forever DM. You've made hundreds of thousands of characters off to the side and blah blah blah. You have tons of different characters to pull from. Finally, somebody decides, hey, I want to sit behind the screen for a little bit. You can get to play a character that you want to play, and your eyes light up, and then you just make another character instead of like pulling from one that you already have. Sometimes it's just nicer to do that, but at the same time, I kind of wish that there's so many stories they can pull from. Why not just start adapting that? Because all these things are just nostalgia bait at this point.
I love character action games, and the trailer, the game's combat actually looked pretty insane, and I liked how brutal and bloody it was, and how disgusting some of the kills were, and how sick some of the team-ups looked, and what they showed looked good enough for me to be at least cautiously optimistic. But over time, that optimism has completely soured. Every decision that Sony and the wider industry has made over the last year has grated against me a little more every single time, and these guys...
Okay, that is one little pet peeve I'm really having. Like, why is it that you had to quick time event him pulling out his claws and roaring? And why is it that we are forcing you to do a specific set of attacks for the tutorial? Like, when you do a tutorial for a video game, you want your players to just go in and just feel out the game. You don't want to tell them exactly how you're supposed to play the game at every given point, because that's just hand-holding and boring as shit.
Have left me a bit raw, to be honest. And where I would have once given Wolverine the benefit of the doubt, I now look at every single new trailer and every reveal just predisposed to hate it. And judging by what I've been seeing over...
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was saying earlier. Just because of how everything's been going these days, anything that's coming out of a AAA game, I just instantly am like fully on guard. I don't know if I should even bother looking into it any further than I already am.
The last couple of days, I am clearly not alone. Social media has been absolutely hammering this game. You have people that are posting clips of Wolverine running.
I remember games in like 2003, 2005. They were developing so quickly from the 90s, we just assumed they would keep getting better. More immersive, more interesting. And then somewhere along the line, it all stopped. They all just stopped developing. And this is what you get now. Forever. Video games never ascended as an art, but long ago we thought they could. Here's a first look at some of the movement and traversal in Wolverine during a rooftop chase scene with the hand. I am starting to see the issue that we're having. Okay, so people are now criticizing it for just being the same game as every other, like, game that's kind of like this, just with a different coat of paint. I see.
Through these
Okay.
long 1-minute platforming sections while he's following somebody's scent trail. They're holding controllers up to a camera, just pushing the left stick forward while Logan is just running through explosions and the player is doing absolutely nothing else, essentially making the game
Oh.
look like it's mixtape. I mean, I guess it kind of actually is in this case. They're clowning on the
Oh.
game for having an arm wrestling quick time event. There's an airplane sequence where
There's nothing wrong with having an arm wrestling quick time. Wait. What did that say?
they're clowning on the game for having an arm wrestling quick time
Xbox, no. PC, no. Nintendo, no. Not on PC or Xbox. Oh, okay.
event. There's an airplane sequence where Wolverine
Did I just pop these claws with my freaking mind? Oh, yeah. Just the giving a caption to the picture. Did I just pop these claws with my freaking mind?
jumps out and he's flipping somebody off with his heckin' claws, man. So cool. And most infamously, there is a Sentinel fight where a giant robot slams their arm into the ground and then you can attack their weak point. It is the kind of boss fight that we've seen 1,000 times by now.
Yeah.
And man, this stuff is just getting tired. This game looks tired. And somehow, the response to this has been complete confusion by people who seem totally disconnected as to why the audience might feel this way or be acting this way. I have seen huge Twitter accounts that have been
Like, that looks fun. That looks interesting, but it's... Yeah, I can definitely see. It feels like maybe... Not like a return to form for God of War, but like, feels almost like an old God of War. It's neat, but how many buttons did you actually just press to do all that? Are you able to just spam a bunch of buttons and just be stupid with controller, put in like combos and all that? Based on what we've been seeing, that might have just been like 2 or 3 buttons that were pressed.
saying that the hate for Insomniac is for
The hate for Insomniac is so forced. Let's not forget that they pretty much carried the entire PS5 generation on their backs. Spider-Man 2 wasn't perfect, but was still a damn good game. Okay, these are AAA games, though. Not being perfect and just being a damn good game or a good game or an okay game is not enough, because these are games that are just by the fact that of who they are, what game company made them, just based off that fact, makes it so that that game was going to have a minimum $50, $60, $70 price tag. And these are games that you're going to want to sit down and play for hours and hours on end. Right? So if you just drop like 2, 3, 4 hours worth of actual work time that you have to do in order to afford this game, so that you can then sit down and play this game for like 25 unpaid hours, and it's an okay experience, that doesn't sound like a real good investment. I could personally drop like $10 on a okayish Steam game, play it for a few dozen hours, lose no real time out of my life because of that, and I'd be probably in the same boat as I would be with any of these okay games.
first because they've carried the entire PlayStation 5 generation. That is not the flex that you think it is.
Nope.
There's also people that are asking why there is suddenly this weird hate campaign against Wolverine when Insomniac is...
Yeah, I think Wolverine is just the way he's saying it. Why is there such a hate campaign against the Wolverine game? I don't think it looks like a masterpiece, but people are acting like Spider-Man 2 was the worst game ever, and that this game will be terrible when it literally looks great. Insomniac has always made good games.
always made good games. I'm pretty sure there's some people that would probably beg to differ with that. Others have also tried to make other games look equally stupid to try to deflect some of the...
Let's see here. Okay, Elden Ring is also R1 spam, but y'all overglaze that mid-game. Elden Ring does not hold your hand. Elden Ring is a breath of fresh air. Elden Ring is a complete sandbox game with complete open world capabilities. And Elden Ring, you can't just walk in a straight line and, not have to worry about being hit or hurt or have any consequences to that. Elden Ring is not this game, and Elden Ring is also years old now. it is a very old game in comparison to this, and this has pretty much the complexity by the sounds of it as like, I don't know, Banjo Kazooie. So it's not exactly a good comparison. And also calling Elden Ring mid is that's a statement.
Criticism. You've got other people that are trying to argue that Wolverine is a game that you can't judge until you play it first.
Yes, you can say that about literally everything, but why judge something that, or why play something that just doesn't look entertaining? Marvel's Wolverine has become one of the most hated and controversial games even before it's released. But how can we judge it without even playing the full game? What are the main reasons behind this huge backlash? Once again, if it doesn't look fun, if it doesn't look good, if it's not like doing anything that's really itching that want in a video game, why buy it? Why play it? It's not so much, hey guys, we're putting out this game, you have to buy it now. It's, no, we're putting out this game, here's why you should buy it. That's what needs to be done now. Have all these companies forgotten, basic salesmanship? Really? I would argue that outside of Twitter, this is not really the case. Game will sell super well. It'll probably sell decently, but probably nowhere near as much as they want it to.
You gotta buy it first, guys, or they've all just dismissed this as Twitter discourse, which isn't even real, so the game is gonna sell anyway. And of course, games journalists couldn't help them.
Okay, I'm just going to back that up a little bit. So, just look in the back in this animation. So, he does a little kick. Okay? Breaks the guy's block, and then somehow manages to get him impaled on that. But if we back up just a few seconds here and retry that without slow-mo,
and of course, games journal,
it was fluid. It's almost like as soon as the guy's model touched the forks, it played the loop of him just sliding onto the forks. There was no impact. There was no real like. If you were to put this into, a mid-level title game, like, once again, Pal World, or I'm struggling to think of any names of smaller games right now, but any of the games that use, like, what's it called? Ragdoll physics? As soon as you would have kicked that guy and his health bar would have gone down from impacting onto the forks, it would have just, like, flopped right against it and then blah, 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 blah. I would have felt way better than this pre-animated death sequence that they're trying to put in there. I'd rather the ragdoll physics, because that feels like it has a little bit more, impact than these weird pre-animated death sequences for enemies that you're not even going to really pay attention to because they're just kind of slow.
Journalists couldn't help themselves, so they had to jump into. You had The Gamer that published an article calling out the comparison.
Okay, that was cool. The forced Wolverine hate has hit a new low, with silly comparisons to Ben 10 licensed game. Huh.
Between Wolverine's Sentinel fight and a boss fight from Ben 10 Protector of Earth, arguing that giant enemy fights are a trope. Wolverine, of course, isn't the only game that's doing it, but what else would you expect a guy with claws to do against a giant robot? These guys can't be serious. Then we have Insomniac.
Dive at it, climb it, cut away at pieces of it in order to expose chunks of armor, bounce around. Like, Wolverine's all about the crazy acrobatics and using his claws in order to climb giant enemies. Or get the fastball special from, like, Sabretooth, Hulk, Captain America, literally anybody that has a good enough strength to be able to throw Wolverine. That's what you do with him. You grab him and you yeet him at the enemy. Instead of just having him go up and then just kind of slash at some plates until it exposes the weak point on the arm, which, why would you put a weak point to your machine in the arm? That doesn't make any sense. If you had made, like, a parkour challenge with the boss, almost like Shadow of the Colossus, but more high-octane, faster-paced, and a little bit more brutal, I mean, people probably would have been all over that shit. They would have eaten that stuff up with a spoon.
That's marketing director James Stevenson, who chimed in.
I think the wild way this algorithm amplifies and forces negativity upon you has made me reconsider my philosophy of telling devs to look or post here. It's relentless onslaught that I cannot believe is good for anyone's mental health or nor representative.
And saying that algorithms amplify and force negativity onto people so relentlessly that he is considering whether or not developers should even look or post on Twitter. The implication being that what we're seeing right now isn't actually representative. It's just the algorithm that's feeding everybody this negativity. Guys, it's just not real, I swear. Kotaku echoed this exact same idea, arguing that old school design probably isn't the thing that is really fueling a lot of this criticism, and that social media is rewarding bad faith, fast takes, and trashing games before they come out is just an event on itself right now. And they even brought up Highguard, claiming...
Now, I'm not going to deny that this is something that has been happening a lot. There's a lot of, like, legendary drops, and a few other creators that come online, and as soon as a new game drops, it feels like 7 out of 10 times the game is getting shit on pretty much right out the gate. Like, they find something to crap on the game about, and then they just kind of run with it. However, if you watch their reviews on these games, there is a 3 out of 10 where those guys actually are, like, hyping up the game. They actually really talk positively about the game. Highguard, the main issue with Highguard is that it was boring. People who played it actually said, yeah, no, you're basically just kind of standing around waiting for the game to start, and then you are going through this massive field, which, yes, cool, but in a, like, what was it, a 3v3 or something like that, where you're trying to then have to track down your enemies over a large, expansive area. Yeah, that can be a little tedious and a little boring, and not exactly what you want from a PvP style game. You want to be able to just jump right into the excitement right out the gate. So it's like, if they're bad-mouthing the game, maybe try and listen to why they're bad-mouthing the game. Ask some questions, and, be up for looking into your game and being like, can I see that? I guess I can kind of see that. Maybe if we tweak this and this, we can probably adjust some things. I mean, now it's probably too late to fix that boss battle, for instance, but maybe make that an earlier boss instead, and make a later boss where you actually do have to climb and tear the thing up.
That its greatest sin was that the game was getting too much attention from Jeff Keighley. Yes,
yeah, no, that's not its
why
only
people
sin.
hated Highguard. Not because you had developers that were calling
people. Now, that is a reason why people disliked Highguard, but only because it put a very big spotlight on a game that probably was not ready for that large amount of spotlight. Highguard and Hyperpop Arena Shooter and other new indie games worth checking out. Plus, the Switch version of Dispatch ditches the nudity. Oh, good for it.
Themselves indie while secretly being funded by Tencent, making one of the most commercially generic games that we have seen in years.
Yay.
What is wrong with these people? And with Wolverine's marketing director, I mean, how fragile can these developers get at this point? That they need to be shielded from memes and criticism on social media because it's apparently, too much for you guys to be able to handle? These are products. You are selling products. This is not a charity, and this is not your high school art project. If you're putting something out there and you're asking people to spend money...
Yeah, like, you see that tutorial that he's going through. I'm hoping that that's tutorial, and that's not just something that happens partway through multiple cutscene events where it tells you, okay, your character is now, Wolverine is now ready to go into a Berserker Barrage. Start spamming square. That's not fun. That's not fun. I don't like it when my games are telling me exactly how to play the game. Just throw me into the battle against the enemy, maybe do a little cutscene where the character takes a few good swings on the enemies first, and then just get into battle arena fight mode, and then you can just tackle and do whatever it is that is fun for your character to do. Don't tell me how to play the game. I know how to play the game. It's press buttons repeatedly.
on it, they're going to judge it positively or negatively, and if you can't handle that, I'm sorry, man. You guys are in the wrong line of work. I mean, how are any of these game developers supposed to be able to make a game that's worthwhile if they can't even face the audiences that they are apparently making these games for? And how is any of this criticism ever going to be able to break through when you have these giant walls of toxic positivity that are being constructed on all sides by either the media or these sycophants that want to run around, bend over backwards, and cry about how everybody else is being too negative when these people are rightfully and honestly justifiably roasting this game for its tired-ass design? Some of this stuff is
The roasting probably wouldn't happen anywhere near as much if game companies were actually, more receptive to learning about these things. The main reason they're probably not as receptive to learning about these things is that they spent a bunch of time working on this game already, and now they put out some teasers and all that, and people, complain about bits and pieces, and they're like, great, now our options are try and double down or extend the game so we can fix some of these issues, and then people will feel empowered, and then they'll force us to change things constantly over and over and over and over again. So it's kind of like it's good that they're trying to stick to their guns, but at the same time, it's like there's a time and a place to stick to your guns, and if there's a lot of hate going towards your game, you might want to try and figure out, okay, let's put this back in the oven to cook a little bit.
so copy paste. Insomniac's marketing director tried to ratio people with their Metacritic scores. How
Well, Metacritic scores isn't going to do shit. Hey man, Counterpoint, have you ever thought about making good games? Let's see, Marvel Spider-Man 2, 90%. Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, 88. Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, 85. Marvel Spider-Man, 87. Ratchet and Clank, 85. Okay.
pathetic is that? Now, I'm not going to say that the studio hasn't made great games. Of course they have. But
Yeah.
guess what? So did every other studio that spent the last few years disappointing people. That's not anything new to anybody else. Those scores don't mean what you think they mean anymore. If anything, flexing your critic scores while the audience is actively telling you that they don't like what they see is honestly the biggest problem I've ever seen.
That's basically saying, hey, obviously we're good. We're going to be good at what we're doing here. My big brother did this thing, and obviously he was pretty good at it. So I mean, I should be pretty good at it too. No. That's like Bungie saying, hey, we were the ones who developed Halo. So obviously Halo and Destiny 2 and all that. Like obviously we should be good. No, the people who actually made that, yes, were part of Bungie, but they are no longer part of Bungie, right? You have a whole different team that's working on these things. You guys are just a name. Yes, we'll listen to you a little bit more because yes, it came from your group, but like at the end of the day, we still get the right to choose whether it's a good game or not.
Are more interested in validation from games journalists than listening to the people that you are actually trying to sell this game to. And guys, I am so sick of this narrative that every single firestorm of criticism that props up around one of these games somehow isn't real. That whatever you're saying doesn't even matter. It doesn't have any impact, or maybe it's not even warranted in some cases. You got people that are scratching.
Did Kingpin literally just lock himself behind a bulletproof glass in order to protect himself from Spider-Man? Motherfucking Kingpin? I'm sorry, yeah, the last time we watched a Spider-Man video on this channel, Spider-Man gave Kingpin the ultimate purple nurple, but like Kingpin in this situation don't know that he can do that. Spider-Man's holding back still.
Scratching their heads and they're trying to read the tea leaves as to why people are acting like this. And I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is a reaction to marketing.
That makes a little bit more sense. He pulled out the Gatling guns in order to deal with the Spider-Man. Okay, fair enough then. That is definitely Kingpin.
Now, yes, there are some things that are definitely building up to this reaction, but people are looking at what Sony is showing them and they are forming their own opinion. That's the entire point of these trailers. That's the entire point of this marketing and the previews that they're showing right now. It's supposed to make you excited. It's supposed to convince you that this is something that is worth your money. And after years of dwindling trust in the industry, in PlayStation, in games media, hell, even in some content creators, what you're seeing right now is the unfiltered response of an audience that just does not care to give any of these companies.
Why does he look like Fabio, but he's been, like, looks maxing? Actually, that is something I've been noticing with all these characters, like, they look uncanny. Like, just a little too uncanny. Like, they're too pretty. They're not grizzled. They're not like, they look like they moisturize and clean properly. They have a good regiment and all that. But with these guys are like hardened soldiers, basically. They don't care about their looks because they're immortal. They don't care about their about looking shiny and good or clean and well kept. But it looks like they do like moisturizing and like they spend probably half their morning in the bathroom. That at the moment, like that's what we're looking at. These aren't Wolverine and Sabretooth.
The benefit of the doubt anymore. So when I'm seeing some of these people that are saying that, oh, how can you judge Wolverine without playing it first? What are we talking about? Nobody needs to spend $70 before they're allowed to decide whether something looks good to them or not. I'd rather save $70 than wish I hadn't spent it. I'm going to tell you that right now. And especially with how we've been seeing a lot of these games come out today, being hesitant usually rewards you a hell of a lot more than blindly jumping into the front of the line. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? You see something, you don't like it, you roast it online, you don't buy it, and then maybe find out later that it's actually better than you expected. Great. You lost nothing. You know, I've been watching a lot of the coverage. I've seen the trailers, and this should be a game that I should be excited for. This should be a game for me, but man, I'm not in it. Not at all. The dialogue between the characters, it's another
hell was going. Once again, it's a game it seems to be a game that's holding your hand. Like having a little quest marker that's literally showing you the most direct path to get to your next destination. Like, so you mean to say I need to now be just watching this little blue shiny line on my screen instead of like all the set pieces you spend hundreds of millions of dollars making? Like, what is even the point of putting all those there? Why aren't they just like flat just flat polygons and we're just focusing on getting from point A to point B? What is even the point of making this expansive universe if you're, making us not want to focus on that and just focus on on following the scent trail or quest marker trail to get from point A to point B? It's infuriating.
Face your past Wolverine story, a Sabretooth whose voice cracks like a 13-year-old every 5 seconds. Probably one of the softest looking Logans that I think we've...
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. He's so soft looking. Like I said, this man is a grizzled veteran. And then here he looks like he's trying to mog his enemy. he's looks maxing. I mean, Wolverine is the type of character that could legitimately looks max. He would have to hit himself with like a jackhammer in order to bend the adamantine into place, but like he could actually do it. Insomniac Games, Wolverine is the lowest testosterone version of the character in history. It is understandably Sweet Baby's Wolverine. Yes.
Ever seen in the X-Men or in any of these universes. Something also is just weird about this writing. It just doesn't feel right. There's this scene where Wolverine and Sabretooth are fighting with one another, and it doesn't feel like these guys are actually trying to fight or kill each other. It just feels like a lover's quarrel. I'm honestly surprised that these guys didn't just start crying in the middle of it. And then I saw this post that I think summed up all of this and this entire reaction pretty well. I don't get how this game cost $300 million in 5 years to make. Most of the design is copy-pasted, and that's the meat of the game. They aren't building their engines from scratch. Graphically, it's not anything we haven't seen before. Where are the resources going? And this is what has me like, how could...
That's the criticism. And because it cost $300 million in order to make, because it cost 5 years of time, now, in order for them to make bank, they're going to have to, like, let me just see here. 300, what is that? That's 300,000, that's 300 million. Okay, cool. Divided by 70. They have to sell over almost 4.5 million copies to break even now. To break even. Right? Why are you banking on that? I can't really pull up anything right now for it, but like, there's not a lot of games that are coming out nowadays that, cost that much. like are selling that many titles anymore. There's only so many gamers out there, and they're not going to go out and buy like 4 or 5 copies of the same one unless they're scalpers. And scalping a video game seems pointless to me because what's the benefit? Most people play these games digitally now.
Anybody be surprised by any of these reactions? Because we've quite literally seen all of this happen before. The combat isn't new. The stealth sections are the exact same thing.
I swear to God, dude, almost every third-person PlayStation game looks and plays the same. There are full-on stealth sections in Wolverine, and they are awesome. Yeah, you press crouch, you go and hide behind walls and in tall grass, and then you get within 30 feet of an enemy, you press a button, and then you get this, like, 5-second kill scene.
That we've seen in Assassin's Creed Black Flag more than a decade ago. The QuickTime events are in every single PlayStation game. We can see through the AAA loading screens where you're sliding under a door or squeezing between two walls. We have fought this exact same giant boss that slams its arm into the ground so that you can attack its weak point 1,000 times. We have played this game before. And if people are wondering where all the money and time is going, increasingly, that answer is the story. The gameplay has just become the vehicle that they're using to be able to drag you through all their cinematic sequences. That's the Hollywood problem with AAA games today. Every single studio, they want their prestige drama. They want their Hollywood video game. They want to pretend like they're Hollywood directors. Everybody wants their big emotional performances, the celebrity voice actors, the hours of cinematics, and the actual act of playing the game is just window dressing that they're using to pull you through their 15 hours of cutscenes in their 25-hour video game. So what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the Power World game that video that we watched from Loot Drop here, or Legendary Drop, sorry, I did mention how I would have preferred them to have made like more voice acted scenes or have a few more cutscenes put in. I still stand by that, but keeping it so that it's easily skippable. So it's not taking away from you if you don't, listen to that. Like, they have a skip option right in the actual dialogue section in Power World. You talk to somebody and you can actually just skip the entirety of the dialogue without spamming your keyboard. I love that. That is so fantastic. But I mean, like, they could have put in a few extra minutes in order to get somebody to voice some of the character lines. There's not a lot of people in the game. Oh, even if it was just like the main character type people, like the village elder and the what are they called? The tower bosses. But at the same time, in these games, it's pretty much like that's all they're doing, and then the only way you can skip the sections is by, holding escape for like 5 seconds, letting them chat and yammer, and then they go into like this boss fight, and if you mess up, you have to watch the whole scene all over again and try to skip it, and then it's just frustrating.
Now, isn't a bunch of people that are suddenly just rejecting this linear action game like some people are trying to make it out to look like. It's people who are looking at another absurdly expensive cinematic walk, talk, climb, fight, cutscene AAA production and asking, how many times are we supposed to be impressed by the exact same thing again and again? I saw somebody say that if you are posting online about how Wolverine is a bad game, you're just doing it to be able to farm followers. Now, if that's the case, I'm going to walk you through something. Wouldn't that mean that not liking Wolverine is actually the popular opinion, and then by extension, none of this is actually forced?
Very true. Very, very fucking true. Yeah. No, yeah. If you get popular just by posting, this thing is bad, then obviously there's a lot of people who are, sharing your opinion on that matter. So, whereas if you post this, this thing is good, and it's kind of like getting you okay numbers, maybe. Like, or what are we talking about here?
How do people miss that? That's the one thing that I don't understand. Like, these guys just do not want to accept reality in a lot of these cases. When you see a lot of people that are agreeing on something, in some cases, that's because they actually agree. Right or wrong doesn't really matter. And right now, you see a lot of people that are coming together and they're agreeing that they're just not liking what they see when it comes to Wolverine. And we've seen this happen countless times. I think that's the one thing that really bothers me with this. When I see a lot of people just try to brush this off, they're so quick to just hand wave a lot of this criticism, call it nothing, say it's all just social media, pretend none of it actually matters, when in most cases, this is a canary in the coal mine. This is the audience telling you that something's wrong, and if you're not there to be able to catch that in the moment and understand what it is, how are you going to be able to get out of it? Some games can break through for sure, but not all games do. I mean, I have now heard for years that Call of Duty couldn't fail. Then it did. Now, I'll be clear, Wolverine is going to make its money back. It's a PlayStation exclusive, even at $300 million. A game like that only needs to sell like 5 million copies for these guys to be able to make their money back. But the problem is that Sony doesn't need another game that just makes its money back. Sony needs a windfall because they've been burning money like crazy. They've been in a lot of trouble over the past couple of years, and they need this game to be big. And the more games that you have that come out that have a reaction like this, the further you are going to get away from actually winning with any of these games. And I think that's the important part, because none of this is coming out of nowhere. Wolverine might have plenty for people to be able to criticize. There's things that people don't really like about it, but there's clearly something else that's behind this, that's fueling this reaction. And we all know exactly what it is. Sony has spent years now burning their reputation, burning any goodwill that they've had. And they're the ones that started this firestorm. They're the ones that dried out the woods.
Once again, it's pattern recognition. If all you're doing is the same thing over and over and over again, then people want to start seeing the pattern of like, okay, what exactly are we doing here? It's always like the graphics are pretty much the same. The gameplay is pretty much the same. The way you fight the bosses are pretty much the same. This is a AAA game. Why are we not innovating? Why are we not doing something interesting with this? And to be fair, there's a lot of times where the games have tried to do something like innovative or interesting or something like that, and then it just kind of like backfires because people are like, no, that's not what we want either. So it's hard to really gauge what exactly it is that people want. But frankly, what people want are to play a game. Okay? They're not here to watch your movie. They're not here to watch your TV series. They're not here to watch your play or anything like that. They don't really care that much about your story half the time. They do. Don't get me wrong. People love a good story. They really like a good story. However, they want a good story. We don't need crazy mocapping. We don't need crazy professional actors. Hell, we'd be good with just getting like one or two good voice actors for the main cast, and then everything else is just played by some like newbies. We'd be perfectly fine with that, I'm sure. So long as, once again, the story's good and the gameplay's good. And the gameplay being good, the main part. As once again, if the story is not good, you can easily just skip the story and just play the game. You'd lose points because of bad story, but at least the gameplay would be fun, which is the main reason people are there for it.
We're just the lightning that's striking. And now every single new game they have, and probably every new game everybody else has, is going to pay for it. And I think it's only going to get worse. Before all the backlash against Wolverine, I had seen this post from Colin Moriarty of the Sacred Symbols podcast where he was talking about how unusually upset the PlayStation fan base seems to be, and
core PlayStation fans seem unreasonably upset this generation, and I think my simple thesis explains it. The ecosystem no longer runs through us. It happens between it hasn't been for 2 generations. The numbers speak for themselves. Just read them. I accepted this reality long ago, as sad as it is.
How it's all tied back to how the ecosystem is no longer running through the players, or it's just not really actually feeling like it's for them anymore. And what I find really funny is that only just a few days later, as the controversy would start springing up around Grand Theft Auto 6, something that I hope to get into later this week, Jez Corden of Windows Central would post about how pointless a hate movement against Grand Theft Auto 6 would be because, well, the game is going to sell anyway. And in response, Colin would say, because many people make it their entire identity to hate everything instead of actually playing games, which they don't really like, but they really can't bring themselves to admit or accept. It's the same as when people say there are actually no games. Okay, Chief, if you say so. And
What?
and I reflected on this recently because some of these people get so close to understanding what's actually happening, what's actually motivating people right now, where a lot of this backlash is coming from around a lot of these games. And then immediately they fall back onto this idea that people have just made hating things their identity. Like everybody just collectively woke up one morning and said, you know what? I'm going to be a contrarian.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people actually really are. I remember actually specifically when Palworld came out, I listened to a few people's opinions on the game. Like, I heard a lot of people talking about Palworld and labeling it as it's just Pokemon with guns, and the guns feel out of place, and it's just got slavery and weirdness to it, and it is just not. It's not a good game or anything. And I listened to that for the first little bit, and then thankfully my wife actually said, "Hey, let's get this game. It looks really fun." I was like, I've heard some mixed opinions about that," and she's like, "Really? I've heard nothing but good." I'm like, "Really?" And then I looked at some of the stuff that she found, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Not sure. Let's give it a try." And turned out it was really good. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So, yeah, there are a lot of people who are just kind of jumping on a hate bandwagon, and there are guaranteed loads of people who just want to cause a fuss for the sake of causing a fuss. However, Wolverine is a title that would technically appeal to a lot of those people. This is a game they probably really want to succeed. And yet there's like it has all the makings to be a game that they would want to succeed. Same with Spider-Man and all that, and Call of Duty. Those are games that a lot of gamers want to succeed. However, why are these gamers now coming out of the woodworks and suddenly being combative towards a game that is very easily not, trying to push the envelope and try to target a broader audience and trying to actually target them themselves? Why are they being aggressive against these types of games? That's the question you got to ask yourself.
And I just think that that's just such a lame excuse and such a lame argument to make, because it completely ignores what's actually going on. And more importantly, it spits in the face of the reasons of why people are so upset right now in the first place. Guys, this isn't a Scooby-Doo mystery. All we got to do is just look at the last 12 months of PlayStation. August of last year, Sony increased the price of PlayStation 5 by $50 across the board. March of 20.
Yeah, well, granted, they're saying Sony hikes price of PlayStation gaming console by $50 as Trump tariffs bite. Sure.
2026.
PlayStation exclusives aren't coming to PC anymore. Yeah, which that's an annoyance. A lot of people don't want to afford buying a console, especially because price hikes because of the tariffs that you're saying is causing the big issue, right? So why are you making it less accessible for people to be able to play your games and make it so that, hey, we're having to charge more because of these tariffs and all that? Sorry to do that. Also, we're not going to make it easier for you to get these games. We're going to be doing PlayStation exclusive. So the only way you can play these games is if you buy the price hiked console. But I have a good computer that probably would have been able to play it just fine. Sorry, we're not going to PC. But why?
Sony stops releasing any of their first-party games on PC and went fully back to console exclusivity, citing weak sales, never mind the fact that they were waiting a year or sometimes even longer to release those games after the hype was dead and the entire story was spoiled online. By the end of March, Sony then pushed another price hike, increasing their prices of their consoles by another 100 to 100.
Yeah, look at that. It's almost like they really want to try and force people to buy their stupid console. Look, I used to be a big PlayStation guy. I prefer PlayStation over anything myself for a long time. But, like, I'm at a point where I can't just go out and buy a whole ass console just to play a game or two. Not all these games are interesting to me. There are a shitload of games I can play on Steam, on Epic, or something like that, and just call it a day. Or I could just, work at doing my art or something like that, without having to get a whole system and a whole new, location set up just to play these fucking games. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. That's expensive. So when you do this and you're going back to this console exclusivity bullshit, yeah, people are going to be kicking back against that. It's just a lot of money.
$50. May, PlayStation Plus got more expensive. June, Sony announced the end.
Oh, and you can't do internet stuff at all if you don't have PlayStation Plus, by the way, so you need to buy that. That's another subscription. Finally, Sony cuts 292 jobs at Bungie in Bellevue following end of Destiny 2 development.
development for Destiny 2 despite it outperforming Marathon and laid off the majority of Destiny staff.
Yep.
July, Sony then announced the end of physical disc production, and then just weeks later, PlayStation suffered a multi-hour network outage that left most people unable to access any of their digital games. Now,
Oh my God.
add on to this, the broader trend of this industry bending players over at every opportunity, higher prices, more microtransactions, these massive budget games with barely any gameplay, barely any personality that don't even work properly at launch, and increasingly all look the same and play the same and they're just the same, man. They're all just the same. And let's not pretend like Wolverine is existing outside of that. That's the whole point of this entire thing. It looks like damn near every other modern PlayStation exclusive that we've already played at this point. So I don't understand how people cannot read the room here. Players are just not putting up with any of their shit anymore. Any of the shit that this industry is trying to put their audience through. PlayStation, they made this audience. This anger, the cynicism, this weirdness that people are pointing out right now, and that only happens when people start feeling like this hobby is not being made for them, and even when it is, they can barely even afford to participate in it anymore. I mean, Are we just going to ignore the fact that Sony has been getting torched under damn near every single social media post for like the last month or 2 months at this point? Players have been community noting their posts, have been flooding their comment sections, roasting them over the death of physical media. A planned blackout for purchases and logins is
PlayStation gamers planned blackout to hit Sony where they know it will hurt. Angry PlayStation games are loudly planning a blackout, which directly targets one of Sony's most important metrics to investors: daily active users. So it's kind of like a I forgot what the word is. Sorry. But yeah, they're all planning on being like, okay, we're just going to have a bunch of people just not log in that day. Just take a point in time where nobody plays these games, and then your numbers are just going to drop off the face of the planet. Yeah, no, that's a good way to do that. That's what players for D&D did when Wizards of the Coast tried to put out the thing where they were really copywriting and causing a lot of issues for third-party creators. People fought back. They stopped paying for the subscription to their game. They stopped paying for books. They stopped playing the game. Everyone really hit Wizards of the Coast where it hurt, and that's what you need to do. Arguing online is all good and fun, but actual action does a lot.
In place right now where they're going to be protesting the PlayStation Network, and somehow these guys are confused when that same hostility is flowing into Wolverine. These people, this is the problem that I have with these guys. They treat every single decision in every single game like it's something that has to be judged in complete isolation. These guys cannot see the forest through the trees. Customers don't experience a company a decision at a time. They accumulate an experience. One thing pisses them off, then another, and then Sony comes back 6 months later and says, hey guys, are you excited for Wolverine? No, they're not. You've made it impossible for them to be. People keep blaming the audience for becoming cynical without asking.
Sorry. Like, I've been watching the animation for the Spider-Man fight scene, and the guy, it's pretty much been the exact same recycled moves the entire time. Spider-Man has had like the Spider Sense thing popping up over his head for probably 2/3 of the fight. Most of the time, it's just been him doing a backflip out of the way of this guy's little combo, and not really doing anything that has any impact or interest or excitement or anything like that. It's just been like, okay, press button, web shoot, jump a little bit. And most of these buttons and everything has pretty much just been like probably just spam X the entire time. I mean, that's not gameplay. That's just, okay, watch this funny choreographed action scene we got here.
Who made them cynical? I just don't think that the games industry understands what they've done by destroying people's trust and extracting as much value as they possibly can without giving anything back. They have completely flipped the burden of proof here.
QTE, you probably didn't even have to aim that attack. You just instantly were able to outshoot the bullet with your web slinger. Not have to aim at all and just, save the day. It's like, that feels a little unsure. Well, I mean, in the Spider-Man game situation, sure. But maybe if you allowed the player to aim exactly what they wanted to shoot at, maybe you have a few different obstacles around the environment that you could have shot at, like maybe shoot past the guy and grab a signpost or something like that to pull onto the guy's head, or you just shoot the gun out of his hand and then you get into a fight, or you actually shoot and grab the woman and pull her out of the guy's grasp. Like different ways to actually change up the game a little bit.
Years ago, if Sony had announced Wolverine, people would probably just say, hey, this is probably going to be a good game. They'd point to Insomniac's track record. Maybe they'd even float the Metacritic score. They'd ask, why should I be worried? But now the question is, why should I trust you? I've said this a million times. Goodwill is a currency, and Sony has spent it like crazy. At this point, I think these guys are socially.
Why is his suit all torn up, right? And yet the spider symbol seems to be the only thing fully intact. Shouldn't that be ripped off as well, or like even a leg or two pulled back just a little bit further for this? Because that's like a vinyl coating, right? That stuff does not stay worth shit. And if the spandex is pulling apart that much, that stuff would have let go easily. Just little details. Once again, this is an expensive ass game. Why is this happening?
Bankrupt. For years, a lot of these companies could get away with damn near anything because the platform was worth it, the games were worth it, and people just kind of trusted these guys to deliver. Even something as goofy as that Sentinel fight, honestly, probably would have slid by without anybody even paying attention to it. But it just goes to show just how irritating.
Like, that looked interesting, but at the same time, it was pretty much just probably directionally press X and move him from point to point. And there wasn't a whole lot of actual gameplay in that moment.
People are right now, that after seeing that fight 1,000 times, maybe 100 times or whatever, now all of a sudden they pipe up and say, you know what, Wolverine? Oh, great, it's another one of these games. I don't think that people understand just how catastrophic that is for a game that is this expensive. A $300 million game doesn't just need people that are willing to buy it. It needs people that are going to be excited enough to buy it immediately and then push those sales even further and get other people to buy that game immediately. You cannot build any kind of business around an audience that doesn't trust you anymore. And the scary thing for Sony right now isn't that just people are memeing on Wolverine. It's that they've ruined their entire reputation so badly that Sony can show people one of their biggest games starring one of the biggest characters on Earth from one of their most successful studios, and the audience's first instinct now is to say, what's wrong with this game? Wolverine at least had some built-in grace. People like Marvel, people like X-Men, they maybe like Insomniac.
Wolverine is one of the most popular comic heroes of our generation, of multiple generations. If you put Wolverine on anything, people are like, oh, yes, perfect, love it, want to see more. You put an R rating on that Wolverine, and people have to change their pants instantly. Like, it's sad where people watch some gameplay loop of it, and you're like, something feels off. Why am I not excited for this?
In some cases, and that even hasn't been enough to be able to put a dent in some of this criticism. So what does Sony think is going to happen with games like Fair Games or Horizon Hunter's Gathering or whatever other game that they're going to try to push that doesn't have a giant audience ready to defend it? If Wolverine is getting this much hate, those games are going to get absolutely obliterated. What drives me insane with all of this is that we have people that are out there that are trying to convince themselves that none of this is even real. Like, if they can just explain away this backlash hard enough, then maybe somehow this problem's just gonna, I don't know, disappear. Did
he seriously try and just tuck the Spider-Man suit out of the way so that Octavius wouldn't see it? Please tell me he didn't.
Spot just published an article that was titled, Wolverine is another victim of the internet's endless gaming negativity, where they're sitting there and they're trying to explain away all of this by citing a recent University of Toronto study claiming that Twitter's recommendation algorithms and just algorithms in general favor high engagement, inflammatory, and polarizing content. Essentially,
Stevenson also pointed out that X was flooding his feed with negative content, which he attributes to the site's algorithm. A recent study by the University of Toronto found that X's recommendation algorithms heavily favor high engagement content, inflammatory political posts, and polarizing posts, something a number of users have become experts at generating. To some degree. The more engagement they create, the better their odds of generating revenue through the monetization of their profile via the original content rewards program. It's similar to the seedier side of YouTube, where engagement baiting thumbnails and bad faith takes are exploding through various videos. Well, once again, those will only get any kind of traction if there's some form of like truth to it, or if people are resonating with that thought process. And if there's a lot of people resonating with that thought process, obviously people are going to, engage with it, meaning that the algorithm is going to look at that and be like, oh, I should push this to more people, see if more people are interested in it. Oh, more people are interested in it. I'm going to push it to more people and more people and more people. Obviously, that's going to happen. That's how an algorithm works.
Just suggesting that people are only saying this stuff because they're being manipulated by negative algorithms. Then, of course, pointing the finger at YouTubers like myself, talking about how engagement baiting and thumbnails and bad faith takes are all rewarded, and that's all part of this as well. The funny part is the study that these guys cited don't actually say anything that they're claiming. It was actually community noted over on Twitter. The study is talking about how people feel on social media. It wasn't something that was actually proving, talking about how people.
The article cites a University of Toronto study as finding that X's recommendation algorithm favors high engagement, inflammatory, and polarizing, but the study makes no such claim.
People feel on social.
Using X, formerly Twitter, I still think it should just go straight back to Twitter. Just drop the X thing. Having your site's title just be X, formerly Twitter, this long after it's been bought out and had the name changed over, at this point, just either call it X or just call it Twitter. Has a negative impact on well-being study. Despite creating a greater sense of belonging, some researchers found that frequenting the social media platform is I got the hiccups. Associating with a drop in positive emotions and a surge in outrage, political polarization, and boredom.
Social media. It wasn't something that was actually proving Twitter's algorithm is specifically boosting negative opinions just because they're negative. They just tried to twist this to be able to suit their worldview and to cope. It's hilarious to me that all these games journalists have the balls to be able to blame algorithms for creating these hive-minded opinions when literally hours after GameSpot publishes their article, Windows Central puts out their own asking, is gaming discourse more negative than ever? And if so, is it deserved? How did we get here? Pointing out all the hate.
Wait. Whee! Okay. Whether it's Grand Theft Auto 6, Halo Campaign Evolved, or the new Wolverine game, it feels like a contingent of the internet is actively hoping for games to fail these days. No, nobody's hoping for it. They're just they're not really being shown why they shouldn't believe otherwise. Is this just a bubble? Has it always been like this? Or has something changed? When you purchase through links on our site, we may earn an affiliate commission. Here's how it works. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Here, pointing out all the hate around Wolverine and Grand Theft Auto 6 and Halo Combat. Hey, wait a minute. I see what you're doing here. You're not going to sneak that mid-ass remake into this conversation and pretend like it belongs here. That game got rightfully judged. Maybe there's some other stuff going on with these other games, but that game, no. That belongs where it is. Look, I'm going to break the fourth wall because I think a lot of these people just don't understand why their relevance is evaporating and also why they just don't feel connected to the rest of the audience right now. Algorithms are not magic. By and large, they're just echo chambers. They learn what you watch, what you click on, what you interact with, what keeps you around, and then they show you more of it in hopes that you stay on the platform long enough and you come across some of their advertising. So if Wolverine is getting criticized everywhere, if a clip is getting millions of views, if people are piling into comment sections and they're saying the same thing over and over again, maybe the algorithm isn't manufacturing an opinion that doesn't exist. Maybe people are just pissed off. Maybe negativity has taken over the gaming space because, well, the audience itself has become negative because, well, the industry made them that way. And instead of just asking why, everybody keeps desperately searching for some other explanation that allows them to avoid the obvious answer. The algorithm did it. YouTubers did it. Twitter did it. Gamers are miserable. You guys don't even like video games.
Like, I have seen that same action so many times in this game. It's just use right trigger to grab random item in the environment, do a 360 spin and then smash it on the ground, and then it does a random effect based on what that item is. If it's an electronic, it's statics a bunch of people around it. Like, how many times can you just get away with using the exact same move over and over and over again throughout the entire game? Obviously, it's just a little bit on the OP side if that's the case.
Anymore. You guys are ungrateful or whatever they want to say. Anything other than admitting that after years of price increases, broken launches, disappearing ownership, live service failures, corporate slop, enormous budgets, safe design, and companies constantly asking you to pay more for less while also just showing you the same game over and over again, maybe that's finally taken a toll. And maybe people just aren't putting up with it anymore. Room doesn't get any AC. It's like I'm back in California all over again. I've seen a lot of people that have been trying to call culture war on a lot of this stuff, and it's just like, bro, stop. Just give it up already. I'm getting so tired of people wanting to pull that wagon every single time anything ever gets out of control, anytime anybody has anything to bring up about any of these games. Whether it's Grand Theft Auto 6, whether it's Wolverine, neither one of these games are in that kind of conversation. That has nothing to do with what's going on right now. This is a discussion over physical games, over pricing, over game ownership, over paywalling advertising, over just a ton of different things that these companies have done over the years that have just constantly been grinding against people's goodwill to the point where there's just nothing left, man. There's just nothing left. And like, I've tried to take time to kind of reflect on this myself, because like I've looked at some of my videos over the last like year or so, and I'm like, man, there is a lot more negative videos, and the reason why is because
there's so much more negative. Yeah, it's hard to not be negative when everything around you is just leaving such a bad taste in your mouth. Everything that you used to love is coming out with just slop. Things that you used to like seem to be changing for in a direction that just does not make any sense. AAA games used to be games that you were excited about. You would line up outside of Walmart at 3 a.m. for in order to try to get one of the first copies. I was there when Skyrim's first release. It was a fun day for me. I was excited to play that game, and I played the shit out of that game. It was a breath of fresh air. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as I liked Oblivion, but I really enjoyed that game. But we don't have that much anymore. That sort of feel just isn't there. That magic isn't there. Games come out, and then we're all just kind of noticing, yeah, these games just kind of feel like the exact same thing. If anything, they're just going backwards, because you don't really have to do much to play these games. You just press a few buttons, and then your character is flying all over the goddamn screen, and it's just like a light show. You pull back the curtain a little bit, and you just look at the actual gameplay, and your gameplay is just hold forward, press X. Call it a day.
Happy with the direction that things have been going in. And while there are some games that I get really excited for, there are a ton of games that I get really excited for, and I talk about them here on the channel. And I try to be able to exude as much positivity as I can around those games. The problem is that there's just not enough of them. There's not enough of them. Nope. And the industry that holds the part of the industry that holds the most influence and the most money and the most developers is the worst part of the games industry right now. And it's the part that has to be talked about, because if we don't talk about it, it doesn't get fixed. And while I know that they're sticking their head in the sand right now and they don't want to listen to any of it, and they're just basically ignoring everybody, they're doing everything they possibly can to just pray and hope that we just suck up the slop and shut up. We just have to keep screaming. It's all we can do. These game developers and these journalists need to wake up to the reality that the most vocal parts of the audience are the ones that you need to be listening to right now. And while they don't share your same values, tastes, or priorities, without them, you're not going to have a job. You're not going to have a studio. You're not going to be in this business. You're going to end up getting pushed into something else. And this idea that, oh, it's just negative discourse that sells, that's the reason why it's taking over everything right now, then explain all the positive discourse that's been around games that we've seen every single year. Expedition 33.
Yep.
Baldur's Gate 3. Yep. This year was Pragmata or Pal World or like...
And you can't even blame woke, because like Baldur's Gate 3 was one of the most woke fucking games. Like it checked every single box for woke, and people adored that game. People memed on it a little bit because maybe some of the pairings were a little bit too ridiculous. What with Halcyon turning into a bear and then doing that. But like, no, it was just perfectly free, and everything was just normalized, and acceptable. Like they didn't bring point to it. It was just it felt good, and it was like a good game. It's still a very good game, especially compared to most others. I'm playing it right now every other Friday with a bunch of friends. It's great. It's a fun game. Uh, Pragmata, it follows a man trying to figure out how to be a dad for an AI. All these games, they're really good, and people are eating it up. And yes, there's some negativity there going around it, like with Pragmata. People were clowning on people wanting to actually like that game, thinking that it was toxic masculinity when it was the most positive masculinity pieces that have come out in a long time. There is always going to be. That's why you shouldn't always listen to the angry people. There are people that you should listen to and people that you shouldn't listen to. The angry minority is the angry vocal minority are the ones that you don't really need to worry about. The ones that are actually like prevalent are the ones you need to listen to. People like Legendary Drops, for instance, who actually give a fair shake to the games, are the people you probably want to listen to when it comes to whether a game might need a little bit more time in the oven. Or maybe you should relook at what you're doing with your games, because he seems to be have his thumb on the pulse for a lot of people online and all that, and also has very similar interests and thought processes to him. So maybe look to his stuff. I don't know. Anyway, let's finish up the video.
There's like 5 other games. There's a bunch of indie games that keep coming out. Why is it that the indie games are constantly getting so much praise?
Mm-hmm.
They're somehow just immune to all of this negativity? I don't think that's the case.
No.
You know, I recognize that I am a critical guy, and I recognize that's the kind of content that I make, but I've also kind of come to this conclusion more recently, and it's something that I'm blessed with. I'm not special. I'm not some crazy good content creator. I'm not an incredible writer. I'm not even really good with editing or anything like that. I am incredibly lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky in the fact that I am milk toast. While maybe my opinions might be a little bit more pointed or maybe well worded in some cases, I am no different than any other gamer.
Nope.
And because of that, there's a lot of people that end up liking me. There's a lot of people that end up agreeing with me. There's a lot of people that end up watching the videos and supporting me. That's the benefit of the echo chamber, I guess, in this case, is that I am just an average gamer. I'm not good at them, not particularly. I guess some maybe, not really. But I just like video games.
Yeah.
And I like a bunch of different kinds of them. And
You're the average gamer. You're the target audience for video games. What else do you need for credentials? You're the target audience. The creator isn't the most important person when it comes to making a product. The target audience is. You want to sell to your target audience. If your target audience is not enjoying what you're making, then you fucked up. Just straight up, you fucked up.
Very opinionated about them, and I don't like losing and spending money on something that I don't end up liking.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk so much about them, and that's why I end up being so negative about so many of them, because that's just the state of the industry today. And that's why people are acting the way they are. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's all I have. The only thing that I wanted to kind of end this video with is, I was talking about that lucky part. You guys have no idea how lucky I am. I mean,
Oh, same, man, same. Like, no, I my numbers nowhere near your 500,000 subs. Like, holy shit, dude, you're doing great. But like the simple fact that we just hit 5K on my channel here, and now we're up to we're blowing past 6. Our views are actually doing pretty good. Like, yeah, I get a few videos that I put out every now and then that just kind of flop. I don't expect this one to do very good, honestly, based on my community and all that. But like, it is so fascinating and so heartwarming to see that, wow, people seem to really enjoy what I'm doing here and seem to like me and my sense of humor and what we're doing. And I can definitely feel what you're talking about, bud. Like, I'll let you finish up what you're saying, I'll chime in. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything.
I don't have any idea how lucky I am. I basically just lost an entire floor of my house due to massive storms and power outages that ran for over almost a week.
Damn gaming. Damn gamers. Game developers flooding his poor basement.
And I think in most cases, I probably wouldn't have been able to recover from it. And I'm in a position that I can. And that's because of you. And not only did you guys help me
100%.
get out of California and move across the country and be back with my family, but you also put me in a position that I could even suffer through a disaster and still make it through on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of that actually is just the general support that you guys have shown, and I really appreciate that. Hopefully we can get the studio back in a decent amount of time. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, let me know what you...
Yeah. No, great video. Fantastic video. Make sure you guys go and check out the original. I've already hit my like button. You guys go do the same. This has been a fantastic video. Very insightful. I'd say if you have the money, go check out the game. It'll probably be fine. It'll probably be entertaining enough, but at the same time, like, don't discount the idea that we should be getting more out of these games, because, yeah, they're extremely expensive for what they are. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, and bye-bye! Hey, did you enjoy that? Was it funny? Well, come and check it out live over on twitch.tv/freeform_art. Make sure you put the _art. We have lots of fun there. We enjoy ourselves, and we want to see you over there. So come on and hang out. See you in a bit.